It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
So let's talk about 25 to 35-year-olds. This is my wife's, my wife would say probably yes too, but my daughter for sure would say Hamilton is her favorite musical. And there's a song that don't throw away your shot. Or I'm not going to throw away my shot. After I blew the Little Wayne, there was no way I was going to go again because I didn't want to go back to the well when I'm just not feeling it today. But there is something to be said about the opportunity of youth. And that's what I want people to understand is that you have a tremendous opportunity if you're under 40 years of age to let the primary driver of your success financially to not be how smart you are with the decision making, but the multiplier effect of your money just growing over time. Compounding growth can be tremendously valuable to you.
What I think is so amazing, Brian, is we in our day jobs, we get to help successful people continue with their financial success, make good financial decisions. And it's always so interesting. We never have that person say to us, you know what, guys? I wish I wouldn't have figured out sound financial management so early. I wish that I just wouldn't have been so good early. I wish I would have squandered my 20s and 30s a little bit more. That's not what we hear. The thing was here is, man, I wish I would have figured this out 10 years ago. I wish I would have started at the beginning of my career.
There's so many people that post in our comments. You guys can probably quickly find it. Say, man, where were you guys when I was in my 20s? Where were you guys when I was in my 30s? We're here for you right now. This is where we're leveraging technology to create you. And here's the next step. A lot of you are probably like, gosh, if I just had an instruction manual on what to do with my very next dollar, because I just don't know what to do. Because it feels like everybody out there is pushing products. They feel like they want to get in my wallet. That's where the Money Guy Show comes in. It's because we want you to come learn, apply, and grow. We don't ask anything of you until you're so successful that you might need our professional services. So that's why we did create the financial order of operations. This is 9 steps on what to do with every dollar. And guess what? This is completely free. Go to moneyguy.com/resources. You too can download this free deliverable on what the first 9 steps of financial order of operations are. And if you get yourself in a situation where you're starting to make money, just seeing what the steps are isn't enough for you, we have a step-by-step guide through a course that you can buy, and it'll let you go. We'll give you nudges, we'll give you coaching, we'll give you worksheets. All of this will help you so that you don't feel like you are throwing away your shots. You're not having to, do trial and error and make mistakes and then screw something up just because you didn't know what to do with the very next dollar that you earned.
When I was at the University of Georgia, Brian, I worked at Chili's, right? And, I did pretty good. I waited tables and it worked out really well. But then I got my very first job.
Yeah.
And I had a salary. And I remember, and I was like, man, I went from like making like $100 on a weekend night was just like life. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have this salary now. And I remember I got my first paycheck and I was just like, oh, I'm rich. I could make $25 in Athens last me for a whole month.
Sure.
And now I have hundreds and thousands of dollars.
You had hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I had hundreds or thousands of dollars.
I wanted to make sure I clarified that. I was like, wow, I was your first job, so I don't remember paying you that much.
That's absolutely hilarious. What I think is so great, though, is that if you are that person and you're just starting out, you're getting out of college, or you know someone who's just starting out, they just got their first job, the financial order of operations, it should be a gift that you give to them. Send them a link, let them see it, because rather than having them bumble their way through and make mistakes and have to figure, oh, where did I go sideways? This is going to be the roadmap that lets them get it right from the very beginning. Let them learn from our and all of the other folks around us mistakes so that they don't have to make those same mistakes as they begin
So
their
let's
journey.
jump into a few of those first steps. I mean, the first thing is like step 1 is deductibles covered. I want you to have enough money to get through if something bad happened, and that's getting a few $1,000s saved up before you do anything else, just so you don't get derailed before you even get started. The second thing is obviously take advantage of that free money from your employer, take advantage of that employer match. But then here's number 3. You've got to avoid that high interest debt.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the credit cards. We're talking about the store credit cards. We're talking about getting ahead of yourself on this student loan debt where you don't know whether you should be paying it down, you should be investing. We cover all that stuff so you have a healthy relationship with debt. And let's not forget the car loans. Because here's the other part, I think, and we give you some guidance on this. We have a whole rule about auto debt, which is 23.8. We want you, first of all, you're not buying luxury brands. That's the first thing I want you to know. I'm looking for reliable transportation. If it's used, it's even better because we know cars sink like a rock in water on depreciation. So you're going to put 20% down. You don't finance for more than 3 years, and it's no more than 8% of your gross income. But also understand, you need to ensure you're investing your army of dollar bills, meaning you're putting more money a month into your investments than your car payment. That is the only way you're going to have that healthy relationship with debt. When it gets time to buy the first house, you don't want your housing expenses, or this could be your apartment too. You don't want your housing expenses really exceeding 25% of your gross income. If you live in a coastal city, either West Coast, East Coast, you're going to hear that number, you're going to laugh. Whereas if you have to go up to 35%, that's okay, but you're going to have to make up the money somewhere else. So once again, you're ensuring that your army of dollar bills are being respected and you're investing a healthy amount each month.
Now, the benefit of this age range is that, like in my example, I was able to live really, really cheap when I was just finishing up college. Well, just because I had the salary now and I had more money didn't mean that I had to increase my lifestyle. One of the things that you ought to focus on in this decade is figuring out, yes, after you work through the financial order of operations, after you make sure you knock off steps 1, 2, 3, 4, then you start thinking, okay, I've got to start putting my dollars to work for me. I've got to start working towards that goal of saving 20 to 25%. And this is a mindset shift that I see a lot of people miss. They say, okay, great, I want to do it. At the end of the month, I'll just see what's left over and I'll invest that. I'll save that. Well, I know in my personal life, when I used to wait till the end of the month, that money would just find a way to disappear. It would always be zero at the end of the month. So one of the things that I learned is I had to pay myself first. I had
Make
to set
yourself a priority.
Make myself a priority. And I wanted my army of dollar bills to get the attention they needed. So I set it up just like paying my rent or just like paying my utility bills. I had savings happening on the front end. That was how I was able to get addicted to saving early on and do that hard work in my 20s that was sort of new and foreign to me that I had not been doing in college.
And remember, the goal is 20 to 25% of your gross income. You can include your employer match if you're less than $100,000 as a single individual, $200,000 as a married couple. But the other part I just want people to understand is I know that's aspirational, especially when you're in your 20s, but really work hard to get to 20 to 25%. Your older self will give you a big bear hug, maybe even a sloppy kiss on the cheek, because they'll be so excited from the tears because that are flowing down their face, because it is such a just joyous moment. If you can put the hard work in while you're young, you get the dividends later. And I don't know how else to say. The priority of pay yourself first is just paramount to your long-term financial success.
And those dividends are substantial. Again, if we want to talk about how powerful your army of dollar bills can be, for a 25-year-old, every dollar that they put to work can turn into $44.
Wow.
And even though at 35 the number drops, even at 35, if maybe you're a little late, maybe you made some of those mistakes in your 20s, but you're just now getting after it, even at 35, every dollar that you invest can turn over 13 times by the time you get to retirement. This is the part of your life where your money has the most juice. So if you can make that hard decision to put a little bit away today, just like you said, it is going to pay dividends and make for a huge, exciting tomorrow.
The thing, I think a lot of people are also at this stage, because it's still, I think we're going to have some people, this is their first investment. They're saying, where do I put it? I still like the index target retirement funds, because all you have to do is choose how much you can save each month or per year, and then when you need it, and then they're going to do everything else for you, because you're going to choose the year that you need it, like a 2055, a 2060, something like that. And then it's going to get more and more conservative. It's going to be very aggressive in the beginning, more and more conservative as you get older. And it just makes it easy where you can focus on the behavior of getting that army of dollar bills working for you versus hyper-focusing on all the different investment choices.
If you want a tool that you can use to help you kind of navigate this well, go out to our website, moneyguy.com/resources, and you can see what the wealth multiplier is for every dollar from age 25 to age 35. Maybe you're that 30-year-old and say, you know what, I worked hard in my 20s, I've got $10,000 saved up. Well, what you do is you take that $10,000, multiply it times your wealth multiplier. That's what you're on track to by the time you get to 65 without saving another dollar. If you have that question in your mind, like, okay, well, I want to be a millionaire. What's required to do that starting at zero? We show you on the deliverable exactly how much you have to save every month to be a millionaire. Or if you want to take it even a step further, we show you how much you have to save to be a multi-millionaire by the time you get to retirement.
Let's bring it all together, though, because we've kind of covered all the different age groups. I want to talk about what does it look like if you, let's actually see this on a slide, the power of starting young.
Yeah, so what I think is really, really incredible is if you look at, again, we're just talking about like monthly savings. Someone starting out at zero, if they want to be a millionaire by the time they get to 65, they got to save about $13 a month. Someone at 20, we've talked about this, they got to save about $95 a month. And then someone who waits until 35 has to save a little over $600 a month to get to $1 million by the time they turn 65.
This visual, we didn't talk about it in the content meeting, but now this makes me that meme that's out there with the dominoes. It starts with a little tiny domino, and you push that domino over, and it keeps knocking bigger and bigger until you have this huge domino that this is exactly what the power of starting young is that you can make a decision as small as $13 a month. Here's what I also think is interesting. I pick on financial advice sites that talk about the latte effect or something, because I say it's not the coffees that are making you not reach financial independence. It's probably screwing up your housing. It's screwing up your cars and how much you're doing that. But it's something like this, if you're young enough, it is the latte effect, because if you can see, if you're saving, if you've got a brand new child, or you've got a 5-year-old. So this is for parents who are thinking about saving, or grandparents who are thinking about saving for the kiddos. This is powerful. I mean, I can tell you with both of my daughters, I thought about weddings. I thought about, this was not for education. This was, just thinking about the demands that were going to be put on me as the father. I started off as 50 a month, then turned into 100 a month, and now it's up to 200 a month. I just wanted to do a little bit to just start building the assets. And I got to tell you, now that my daughter's 17, it's amazing what that money becomes.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is legitimate money that I know if I'd have gotten this when I turned, 22, 25, whatever age it actually, we decided we're going to, release this, it will be life-changing.
Absolutely.
Off of $50 a time is where it all started. So get excited about that.
What I think is so wild and incredible is you guys are financial mutants. And you're like, hey, guys, I hear it. I love it. $13 a month for my brand new grandbaby sounds amazing. But it'd be interesting. I hear you guys talk about the longer that money's invested, the better off it'll be. What if I just wanted to put one lump sum in? What if on the day that my child was born, what if on the day that my grandchild was born, I just wanted to write a check and say, here's your $1 million. You just can't cash it in until you turn 65. What would that look like? Well, of course, in true Money Guy fashion, in true full-time equivalent Daniel fashion, we put together an illustration to show you what that is. So if you have a newborn and you want them to have $1 million by the time they get to 65, you should consider opening an account and dropping in $1,544 for it.
Wow, that's incredible, because that seems digestible. That seems like a reasonable, especially if you're a grandparent or a parent. I could do that. It's kind of like the same feeling I had when I was in high school, and I heard, hey, if you could save $100 a month, you'll be a millionaire. I'm like, I could do that, and I bet there's going to be a lot of parents and grandparents say, I could make that commitment.
Now, I don't have this fully hashed in my head, Brian, but I was thinking about this. What this made me think about? Remember back when your friends started like having babies and all this stuff, and they'd be like, oh, we're going to have a baby shower, which really means, oh, we want you to help us buy the things, da, 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 da.
For sure.
I thought about man, how cool would it be if there was on the registry, it was like, hey, my kid's future millionaire bucket. You know what I mean? I just think
I don't know if we might have to write Dear Abby to see if that's good etiquette, but I love it. From a financial mutant perspective, it's beautiful.
I don't need the elephant blanket that's going to get spit up on. I got 10 of those already. You know what my kid needs? They need the very first few soldiers in their army of dollar bills. And I think that's so exciting. Even if you have that 15-year-old and you want to get them excited, you say, hey, you know what? It's only going to take, if you wanted to have $1 million by the time you turn 65, let's do some Roth contributions for you 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
You know what? It's $6,800. So why don't, 1 year you put in $3,000, the next year you put in $3,000, I'll make up the difference. Or you can do your dollar for dollar match. It gets really, really exciting that it doesn't take a lot to get that ball rolling and get that momentum going to really be absolutely life-changing.
Well, I think it's exciting. I mean, think about this from a spot check perspective, because there's going to be 20, 25, 30, 35-year-olds watching this too. My 17-year-old daughter has about half of what that 20-year-old, that $11,318 in her custodial Roth, that's really powerful because it was built off of $20 here, $40, $50. A lot of you 20-year-olds, you're probably thinking, gosh, if I could just, maybe that's my goal. If I could get this thing to 11,000, it doesn't even have to be at 11,000 because you could take, maybe you only have 5,000 saved up, but you start stacking in that behavior of $100 a month. It's going to compound on top of it. But my 30-year-olds, you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, I could come up, I might be able to have $30,000. And, in the 35-year-old, I could come up with $50,000 or I could save that. Use this as a spot check. There's multiple uses for the power of starting young.
We think that this is the stage and age where your dollars can just be so, so powerful. And we want to help be that team that's going to help you make those dollars be as powerful as they can be. If you want to go to the website, go to moneyguy.com/resources. We actually have this deliverable hanging out there for you. We have our normal How Powerful Are Your Dollars that shows age 20 all the way out till age 65. But now we even have this young money deliverable. We're showing you what's it like if you start at 0 all the way till out to age 35. If you have someone in your life who's never had their what was your gym teacher? It was Mr. Morrow, right?
Yep,
who's never had
Morrow moment.
Never had their Morrow moment. You want them to have their money guy moment. Think about printing this out, giving it to them, and blowing their mind to get them excited about their financial journey.
And then you too could be a young money millionaire. So, see, that was better, guys. Money Guy team, I want to tell you, go subscribe, go to YouTube, give us a subscribe. Also, realize we're giving this away. Go to moneyguy.com/resources. This is the abundance cycle. I come give you tons of free advice. You learn, apply, grow. You're going to reach a level of success that you need a co-pilot, that you need somebody to continue on after you're no longer here. For your loved ones, we are that resource, and we'll hope you'll consider Abound Wealth through the abundance cycle. Go check it out, moneyguy.com/resources. I'm Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen, Money Guy team.